McGrath. He gets bumped in the first turn of the first race, still wins. Wire to wire in the second race. Comes from mid-pack in the third race. The only crack in his armor might be this week in Seattle. He's had a cold all week and hasn't been able to work out.
Well, you got to remember, last year he was sick in San Diego. He won anyway. Then he went to Atlanta. He had the chicken pox, and he won that one too. So I don't know if it spells hope or not.
Still surprising, non-factory rider Larry Ward. He's in second in the points. He comes back to the site of his lone Supercross win back in 1990, his hometown at that time of Seattle, Washington.
Well, he's coming off of leading a little over halfway at Anaheim. He's got to know what it feels like out there, and it's going to take some of the pressure off. However, when you ride a hometown race, you've got a lot of friends and family and getting passes for everyone. It can be a distraction, but he's definitely got the speed, and with Jeremy sick, his chances look even better.
The riders are telling me, David, that this is Rich Winkler's best track of the year. That means it's fairly technical, can separate the men from the boys. Let's take a look.
By the looks of this Suzuki track map, Art, it's a typical Supercross track, but this week things are different. These guys have got options out there. The track designers have been listening to the riders who say it's hard to pass.
Let's go down to the stadium floor to Jan Beekes and get his viewpoint on the track.
Art, a lot of the riders are saying that this track is the best that Rich Winkler has ever put together. If you look behind me, you can see why. The whoop section, which is normally level, is raised in the center, which means these riders have to do whoops uphill as well as downhill. Further behind me, Rich has placed the obstacles in a way that the riders can choose different lines and different jumps. In other words, they can single, double, or triple one area, but then they give it up in another. And the third area that the riders really like is way behind me. It's the biggest triple jump that we've had for years in Supercross. To triple that, baby, you have to fly nearly 75 feet. Art?
Thanks, Jan. We're getting set for the 125cc main event where Damon Huffman has proved as dominant as Jeremy McGrath has in the 250s. Can he continue to match his string? This edition of Power Wheels on ESPN2 is brought to you by Honda, defending champions and holders of the past 7 consecutive Supercross titles. Honda, come ride with us. And by Suzuki. Right now, your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get.
Starting early for Pedro Gonzalez's crew, having to frantically fix a brake lever before that 2-minute grace period expires.
Well, that's frustrating. You know, the riders, he's got his heart racing, hoping he's going to have everything running before the main event. And sometimes that's good. You get a better start. You're ready to rock and roll.
The Suzuki starting lineup: Huffman, Hughes, Decker, VL, and Pingree. Those are pretty much the contenders, with Chad Pedersen a chance and Pedro Gonzalez, hopefully, if they can get that bike ready in time.
I'll never forget on a parade lap I had up there, had the rear brakes stuck on. The entire crew was around my bike trying to do everything they could. We got it fixed and got underway.
The butterflies are starting right now here in the Seattle Kingdom as we get set for the start of the 125. You see number 27, Craig Decker, one of the favorites in this race. He took a third, got the whole shot here last year.
The rider's nervous. You can see him twitching, rolling up and back and forth, and sometimes you can intimidate the guy next to you. You know, you roll out there and try to suck him into that gate. I've done it before. It works. Sometimes it backfires on you.
We're set to go for the 125 main. The fans on their feet now. Look at number 9. That's Ryan Hughes getting the whole shot. Oh, and on the outside, we've got a big crash. It's Metzger, number 387. I can't identify the rider that's down. It looks like a Honda Fender, but it's very hard to tell. That bike's going full speed.
Oh, that's very scary. You can see the rear wheel spinning. It was running wide open, and those guys have to be very experienced not to pick that up and let the bike run away with them.
Reminiscent last week of Pedro Gonzalez. His uncontrolled bike went across the track and caused a mess. There you see Hughes and Frederick VL in second place. Craig Decker third. David Pingree, Corey Keeney, and then Damon Huffman. Huffman has dropped back to 6th place after a real good start on the opening turn.
Boy, this looks great for Ryan Hughes. Now, Ryan hasn't been able to ride. I don't think Ryan has ridden like he would like to ride so far. Not up to his potential. Here he is with the whole shot. Huffman's stuck in the pack. He might be able to pull off his first win of the season.
Oh, this could be the showdown we've been waiting for this year between the number 1 and number 2 riders of last year. VL running a great race with Decker, and you see number 41, Pingree.
Well, you know, there's contrasting styles, Huffman and Ryan Hughes. Ryan Hughes admits he's a little better outdoors, a little more muscle and strength and endurance, while Huffman has got a lot more finesse and he rides better indoors. But what we have here is a situation where I remember last year, Ryan, the only races he won, Huffman had to keep coming from behind. So he's got a great opportunity right now.
And there's that finesse you just talked about, David Bailey, as Huffman gets by Keeney, moving into fifth. Now he's going to take on David Pingree. Let's go to Jan Beekes down to the Suzuki pits.
It looks like Damon didn't get the kind of start he wanted, but then he fell back. Is he okay, or is he just biding his time?
I think he's all right. He was in a lot of traffic right there, and it was pretty congested, so I think he just backed off a little bit, but he's got plenty of time, so I think he'll be all right.
Now, the board says be loose. Do you think he's riding a bit tight? You're trying to get him to loosen up?
Yeah, absolutely. The first couple laps, most riders ride a little bit tight, so I think he'll be all right.
Thank you.
Oh, I know he'll be all right. Damon is very smart. This kid has ridden in the 250. He's done well in that. He's very patient. And, you know, patience comes from having a lot of confidence. He's won the first 2 rounds.
Back to our leader, number 9, Ryan Hughes, with Frederic Viel and Craig Decker and David Pingree. A buffer between the leader and the defending champion, Damon Huffman, number 1. Everyone, though, is on the leader's pace, David.
Well, Ryan's not able to get away like I thought he'd be able to. And you see how critical it is to get past all these guys as they came out of that corner after the finish line jump. All those rocks flying up. And that took Mike Kudrowski out of the championship last year.
A great competitive 125, and we'll be back in a moment. 125 action. Ryan Hughes getting the big challenge from the defending champion Damon Huffman. Huffman, with number 1 on his plate, is really hounding him now.
Well, he sure is. And you see Ryan made a little mistake there. I mean, it didn't cost him much, but it's just enough to make him nervous. And that's the kind of stuff that Huffman wants to see. Those little mistakes that just makes him think his job's going to be that much easier making the pass.
Hughes, who in the past has thrived on pressure, but he can't seem to break away from Damon Huffman this time.
Well, you know, Huffman's definitely breathing down his neck, and that's the way each of those races that Ryan won last year. It's the same old story. Huffman catching him from behind and putting the pressure on, and Ryan was able to hang on, and he was able to win here last year in Seattle. See if he can do it again.
Damon Huffman is looking for a sweep on the season. He's won the first 2 races of the year in Minnesota, in Anaheim, and now is looking for 3 in a row. Can he catch and pass Ryan Hughes? Well, he's caught him, and look at here. Cuts inside. Ryan Hughes puts the throttle down and gets out in front again.
And you can see there, that's the part we're talking about in that track description where you got a different option. Huffman cased it there off the jump. He didn't really lose much time, though. But there, you know, you got a chance to see that they got different options. Ryan does one thing, and Huffman's really good like McGrath. He doesn't follow anybody. He does things differently, and that's how you make passes.
Talking to Damon before the race, he goes out there and studies Jeremy McGrath, looking at McGrath during practice, taking similar lines. Here we are, bike to bike, inside, good block pass, and it makes him. Good clean pass.
Very clean pass, and he just left Ryan nowhere to go.
Tony Berluti, his mechanic, overjoyed at Damon Huffman taking back first place and looking for the sweep once again.
Well, he looks pretty pumped, and, you know, last year, Damon lost this race, so he looks stoked. Here's another look back. Huffman, like I said, he's smart. He puts himself in the right position. Leaves Ryan nowhere to go. However, that's pretty polite. I think he's learned that the madder you make Ryan, the worse you make things for yourself. I used to make Rick mad sometimes, and it just made my job a lot tougher. The madder he gets, the faster he goes.
Damon Huffman out in front. In Minnesota, he started in 3rd and came on to win. In Anaheim, he led every lap. But here today, it's been a bigger challenge for him, coming from 6th spot.
Well, he's done it before, and it doesn't really surprise me that Damon's been able to come to the front. You know, the thing that we got to watch for now is that Ryan Hughes is one of the few riders in the circuit, both in the 250 and the 125, that can adjust his pace. In other words, somebody can come up, pass him, and he gets motivated, and he's able to ride with more emotion and start making up time. And right now, he's going to get a little lesson from Huffman in front of him, possibly pick up on some lines in places he was able to make up time, close the gap, and put pressure back on Huffman. No one's been able to do that so far this season.
Frederic Viel is doing a nice job at holding down 4th spot, as Damon Huffman doing a little finger point to the fans.
Well, you know, he's probably feeling like he's got just enough cushion to show off, and that's going to make Hughes even madder. And boy, you know, you don't want to make Hughes mad.
Damon Huffman with the confidence and the timing now to come away with his 3rd consecutive victory. 3 for 3 here in 95 as the checkers are waving for Damon Huffman. Ryan Hughes, a 2nd place finish. Good race for Ryan, though.
He's getting closer and closer every week, and you know, it's going to take a lot to close up on Huffman and win.
Pedro Gonzalez down in 7th, a disappointment for him. Let's go to Jan Beekes.
Ryan, you certainly got the kind of start that you wanted, but then you couldn't match the pace of Damon. Where was Damon catching, and where did he pull away from you?
I kept messing up in the back section. There was a little rhythm section that I kept messing up on. He was getting it every lap, and that's where I lost it. He got by me, and I tried staying with him, but he had one section a little bit better than me. And, you know, I couldn't get it tonight, but, you know, I have a lot more confidence going to the next race because after Anaheim, you know, this is a lot better.
Well, you gave us a great race. Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Turning to the Suzuki point standings for the 125 West, Damon Huffman by 15 points over Hughes. Decker just 2 in back of Hughes, with Pingree and Gonzalez rounding out the top 5. Jan?
Damon, another one for you. That makes 3 in a row. Tell me, were you concerned off the start when you didn't, you know, it looked like you were in trouble, but then, boy, you showed us you weren't later on.
Yeah, you know, I got out of the gate really good. My Suzuki pulled really strong down the start, but, you know, the first turn, there's a lot of bumping and grinding and shoving and pushing, and they kind of, you know, got the best of me because I went in like second, and I came out, I don't know where, like 8th or so, I guess. But my mechanic, Tony Berluti, did an excellent job, let me know, you know, how much time there was in the race. And, you know, he told me pretty much take my time, and, you know, slowly but surely I worked up and, you know, got on in front.
Is that something new for you this year? I mean, you really paced yourself. You didn't worry about picking up the speed until the very end.
Yeah, you know, I started off, I was a little tight, and I made a few mistakes, but, you know, towards the end of the race, I really smoothed out and rode like I normally do, and, you know, I'm really happy with my performance.
Well, it's great to see you up here again. Thanks.
Thank you.
3 wins in a row for number 1 Damon Huffman, and we see right here, after 12 laps of following Ryan Hughes, Damon got the opportunity and took it and ran away with the victory. Exactly the same finish here in Seattle as the last race in Anaheim, with Huffman winning, Ryan Hughes improving, but in second place, and Craig Decker in third. They'll get together next in San Diego, but we're not through. The 250s coming up. We get the 250 action, heat number 1 highlights brought to you by Suzuki. Larry Ward has got to be the crowd favorite here. He won the race back in 1990. And getting ready for heat number 1, he makes a tremendous break along with Brian Swank, number 10. Larry Ward gets the whole shot. Our helmet cam brought to you by Honda. This camera under development. It'll make its permanent debut coming up a little later in Atlanta. There was a first lap crash involving Steve Lampson, Tony Amaratio, and Tim Ferry, number 23. They would have to go to the semifinal round. The top 4 make it out of the 2 heat races. Those who don't make it go to the semifinal round, where the top 5 would go directly to the main, and then one last chance in the last chance qualifier. Brian Swank, number 10, Honda of Troy, took it in a solid second place right here as Mike Kudrowski has to weed his way through the field.
While Larry Ward's out there giving that hometown crowd what they came to see, look at this cluster of riders trying to make the main. And look at Kudrowski. Remember last week at Anaheim, he had to go to the last chance qualifier because he started making mistakes riding around in a pack like this.
Kudrowski came from 7th place to move into 3rd around Cliff Palmer and James Dobb.
Here was some more of what was going on back there behind the leaders. You can see they're all trying to make that final transfer spot into the main event. Watch what happens here to John Dowd. Cases it on that jump, falls down. Look, he rung his bell. He doesn't even run back to the bike.
It was a broken chain while running in 5th that put Dowd to the semifinal round. Palmer getting challenged by Phil Lawrence, number 42, as we go to our Honda helmet cam for the triple.
Wow. You know, Art, it's been about 8 years since I've done a triple, and that brings back memories. You know, this thing has come a long way since the first time I see it. It used to give me a headache when I watched, and now it's really coming along. It gives you a pretty good look. You're not going to get any closer than that without getting roosted.
And our thanks to Rich Taylor, number 49, for wearing that helmet cam in the heat race, as Larry Ward pleasing his former hometown fans anyway. They're cheering for him all the way. Brian Swank, with one of his more impressive rides of the year, takes 2nd place. Kudrowski moving to 3rd. James Dobb. The rest going to the semifinal round as we go to heat 2, brought to you also by Suzuki. Jeremy McGrath easily took off to keep his string of a perfect heat race slate in 95 after a small skirmish with Jeff Emig in the first turn.
Check out that Honda jump cab. This is that 75-foot triple we talked about earlier. Look at the air these guys get.
And a much improved Michael Pichon took 2nd away from number 6, Jeff Emig. after the finish line jump.
Now, Pichon's starting to strut his stuff in the 250s. He looks just as good in this class as he does in the 125s, and that's only going to make him stronger for that East Coast 125 division.
And there was a whole host of riders that soon pass up Emmy. I'm talking about Ezra Lusk, Mike LaRocco, Mike Craig, and Doug Henry.
You got a glimpse back there of Mike LaRocco getting shoved off the racetrack into the mechanics area. More problems for him continuing the heat races.
Big problems because he'll have to go to the semifinal round after our highlights here. Ezra Lusk with a good strong run. Emmy trying to hold on. But what's the matter with LaRocco?
Bad starts. You get bad starts. You hang out with these guys. You get roosted. The rocks are flying in your face. Look at all these guys battling in front of him. Where's he going to go?
Mike Craig with an excellent run. Battling with Jeff Emig in heat number 2.
You see there, LaRocco makes a pretty good move on Emig, but it's not going to be enough. He's going to have to go to the semi, and that's going to mean poor starting position for the main event. And what I mean by that is that you got the winners from the heat races with first pick to the gate for the main event. So when you got LaRocco coming out of the semi, all the good spots are taken, and since his starts are a problem, his problems are even worse for the main event.
LaRocco, Emig, Albertine, and Henry were forced to go to the semifinal round out of this group.
Well, that's bad news for all the privateers who normally go to the semis in hopes to make the main event. And look at what happens to LaRocco. No rhythm at all through the bumps, and a last-ditch effort to make it out of the heat race. He goes down again. He's going to be a tired puppy by that time the main event rolls around.
Wasn't much of a surprise for number 1 winning heat number 2, but Mikel Pichon, that was the big surprise. Number 101 taking second spot and getting the immediate transfer to the main event. Joined by Lusk and Craig as we go to the semifinal round number 1. Brought to you by Honda. These riders headed by Steve Lamson, who had his problems during the heat race, and we go right to the helmet cam.
Well, this is a neat angle. Look at all these riders jammed into the first turn. Now, this is me. Look at these guys. They're running into each other. This is the angle that I think LaRocco sees every week. You see how congested it gets back there, and if those guys go down, it's your problem, too.
Number 5, Lamson, ran away with this opening semifinal round. Todd DeHoop in second, Dowd in third, Josh Steele in there, along with Phil Lawrence, number 42. Lawrence getting by 151 Josh Steele. From each semifinal round, the top 5 make it directly to the main. And that's certainly what these guys want to aim for, because they don't want to go to the last chance qualifier where only 2 riders will make the gate.
Steve Lamson, who's starting to feel a little bit better from that sternum injury, takes a checkered flag. You can see he's pretty excited. It'd be nicer if he did it out of the heat race, but a win in the semi isn't bad.
Todd DeHoop in second place. Phil Lawrence an impressive third, with Dowd and Steele going to the main event. In semifinal number 2, brought to you by Honda. Emig got out in front of a lot of big names. First of all, he got in front of Kyle Lewis, but Albertine, Henry, and LaRocco also in this semifinal round.
These guys are cluttering up those top 5 spots that go to the main event, making it even tougher for the privateers. He's feeling a little bit stronger from that shoulder injury, but not strong enough to hold off a charging Doug Henry in this semi number 2.
Doug Henry made 2 passes in the last few laps to win this semifinal round, and here LaRocco gets around Albertine.
And check this out. Going for the win on the last lap. Henry cases the triple, cuts across track in front of Hammock, leaves him nowhere to go, and wins semi number 2.
Doug Henry, an impressive performance in the second semifinal round with the checkered flag. And a very disappointed Mike LaRocco, but he will be going to the main event. Henry, Emig, LaRocco, Albertine, and Brown, the rest to the last chance qualifier, which was taken by Tim Ferry, a 125 rider. Buddy Antonez, the last position on the gate. Parade lap live with the 250s, and we'll be back to see if Larry Ward can hold back Jeremy McGrath. As we take you back to 1990 in the Kingdom, leading the race, Jeff Matasevich, but a youngster right behind him, the local favorite, Larry Ward.
I remember this race well, Art. I wasn't there, but I heard a lot about it. These guys had this knockdown, drag out, block each other, hate each other afterwards type race. You'll see right here, Matasevich cuts in front of Larry. They've got a big lead over third, so they can afford to get out there and mess around with each other. And watch what happens here. Larry's looking over. He's trying to block him. Matasevich cuts all the way across his leg, doesn't want to take it anymore, runs him into the hay bales. And I think Larry Ward kept his cool a little bit more, and he went on to win the race. It was a great battle.
Larry Ward was the rising star in Supercross with his victory in Seattle. But then, no podium finishes in 91, one podium in 92, no factory ride in 93. So 1995 for Larry Ward is truly the dawn of a new era. Larry Ward returning to the prominence that was once his. Taking a non-factory bike to 5 podiums in 5 races this year has him remembering and appreciating the glories of the past.
I do work extra hard. I have been working extra hard. I'm 24 years old, and you know, I'm a little more serious. I know for a fact this is what I want to do. It's what I love to do. It's actually fun coming to the races. There's a lot of people that I would never get to meet unless I was a racer, and you make a lot of good friends. Everyone keeps saying, man, you're getting thirds, and I keep telling him Lanson's not out there. When he comes back, I might be fourth.
He's doing good. Hanging in there tough, beating all the factory guys.
His family's influence will always be remembered, but the positive atmosphere of Clark Jones and his family has led to new motivation.
They have 2 beautiful little girls and a little son. You know, I babysit for them sometimes. It just, you know, it's a good family atmosphere, and it's a positive atmosphere for me to be around all the time.
We have to keep him up and keep his confidence high. So what we do is try to keep him pumped during the week.
This week it was raining really hard one day, and I said, well, maybe I won't go riding today. He says, no, you'll go riding today. So he pushes me quite a bit.
To those within earshot, Larry Ward even approaches race day practice differently.
I'm going to ride out there, go slow the first lap, and then go for it. Jump everything on the second lap, and ride practice pretty much as fast as I can at about 85%. Doing all the obstacles, break a good sweat. My bike's running awesome, I can tell already. Just a little ruddy. That jetting's good. The bike runs good, I'm just letting the squids get out of my way. Seems like I'm a little older because I did start riding professional when I was 17 years old, and so I have been out there a long time, but you know, I hope I'm what they call a late bloomer. I'm getting stronger now and a little faster now, and I'm a lot smarter than I was a couple years ago, I know that.
Passing factory teams on the track doesn't always make for the best of social friends, but number 11 is hoping what he's doing on a stock bike gives him one more shot.
I'd like to definitely get another factory ride, give it one more shot, hopefully get with whoever I get a factory ride with this next year, continue out my career with them, and whenever they're done with me, then I go ahead and retire. I don't really ever want to retire, though. I want to try to keep a factory ride and ride till I'm 35, 36 years old. I feel like I get stronger every year, and if I keep getting stronger, maybe by the time I'm 35, I'll win a championship.
Well, by that time, David, Jeremy McGrath will be retired.
That's right. It will be easier. You know, by that time, though, Art, my son will be hot.
A lot of sons will be, probably, as you look forward to the future. The 250s now, you see Tim Ferry, a young 125 rider, shaking the goggles out. Rick Johnson, this was his domain.
It was. You know, these guys are all very aggressive, and they rode well in the ruts. This place is notorious for having deep ruts because of all that loose soil.
And very rocky soil. You might remember last year, Jeremy McGrath, the flat tire took him down to 3rd. A flat tire took Larry Ward here in Seattle from 4th to 5th. But right now, it's a brand new year and some new soil down, we hope.
Well, you can see all the rocks there, and all eyes are on Larry Ward right now. He needs a hole shot like last week, put some distance on McGrath, and hopefully hang on here.
They're off. Good start by number 24, the Suzuki. Ezra Lusk got the whole shot. McGrath, Emming, Ward, Larocco, they're all in good shape. A good clean start.
A good clean start. You can see a big jam there in the back, and McGrath is poised and ready to do battle and move to the front as quick as he can while Larocco's still buried in the pack.
Well, the scene is set now for great competition out front as Jeremy McGrath, as usual, wasting no time, cuts inside of Ezra Lusk and takes over the lead before the green flag is seen at the end of the first lap.
McGrath so quick to go to the front. You know, he doesn't give these guys a chance. Right now, though, the thing you got to remember is you see him getting all that air time off that triple as McGrath has a cold. If he gets out front, you notice Larry Ward and Larocco both got decent starts. Possibly they can wear him down.
That was a great view from our Honda jump cam as we see Mike Larocco boxing out. Does a nice job on Emming.
Way to go, Mike. You know, he's not aggressive enough in that beginning of the race. He's starting to learn his lesson. He's getting aggressive. He's making those passes now when it counts so he can set sights on the leader. So hopefully he won't be too far away by the time he gets into his rhythm.
Ezra Lusk not letting Jeremy McGrath get too far out in front, even though Jeremy's starting to pour it on. McGrath, our leader, Lusk, and then Larry Ward. A little gap, and then Mike Larocco coming up.
Well, you can see how far it is back to Mike LaRocco already, and even if he was the same exact speed as Jeremy McGrath, he's still got to pass all these riders, and then that would still leave him that far behind. He's got to be faster than Jeremy McGrath if he wants to win a race.
I like the timing of Larry Ward.
Yeah, he looks good. You know, he's a little taller than these guys. He rides well in the soil, and another good shot from that jump cam. These guys are flying 75, 80 feet. That's amazing. You can imagine how bad it hurts when they come up short.
Ward is starting to put pressure on Ezra Lusk, number 24, in second place. This is our 250 main event from Seattle's Kingdome, the 4th race of the year. Jeremy McGrath with 3 wins in 3 races so far.
You know, I'm surprised. Lusk right here is riding pretty fast. You see, he's still very close to Jeremy McGrath. Normally, Jeremy, when he gets the hole shot, he opens up a quick lead. And right here, he's still pretty close to McGrath. And he's also got Larry Ward chasing him down. He wants to go to the front. That's putting pressure on Lusk, and it's keeping Lusk close to McGrath. The problem with Lusk, though, is that he hasn't been able to keep it on 2 wheels. If he does, possibly all these guys ride this fast pace can keep the pressure on McGrath. And that's what we haven't been able to see yet. That might make the difference.
Lusk is doing all right on the straightaways, and as we see here on the jumps, it's been in the corners that he's lost a little bit of time. Let's see how he gets through the whoops in this timing section. Lusk in trouble. Larry Ward takes over second place.
You can see how excited the fans are. They're all reacting to that. Now, Lusk has got more problems with LaRocco. Now, he's going to have to start riding defensive as he's taking another look back at what he did. He didn't make it all the way over that jump. He got off balance, and he was lucky to stay on the racetrack right there. He could have lost a lot more time.
Larry Ward moves into second place behind Jeremy McGrath. The question is, can he catch McGrath? Jan Beekes also is trying to answer that question as he's in the No-Lean Yamaha pits with Clint Berry. Jan?
Clint, he's moved by Ezra. Do you think he can close in Jeremy?
Yeah, I just hope he keeps the pressure on him. You know, Jeremy can make a mistake at any time. We just want to be right there for when he does make that mistake.
Now, Jeremy doesn't look like he's pushing as hard as usual. I think he's saving something. Is Larry going to go all out because of this hometown crowd?
I think Larry's going to go all out. Hometown, his mum and dad are here. He'll give it everything he's got.
Thanks, Clint.
Thank you.
Larry Ward now in second place, but he's behind one of the toughest guys to catch in all Supercross history. Here we go back in the pack. Ezra Lusk, who has faded a little bit. That mysterious ankle injury might be bothering him. LaRocco is truly putting some heat on him.
And he's got to, Art. He cannot waste time, and he's got to go for Lusk right now while he's still recuperating from making his mistakes. That's his only shot at winning this thing.
Great jump by LaRocco, getting by Lusk. And Lusk is really slowing down now, taking each lump at a time.
He didn't do the triple. I don't know what's going on there. He had a run at it. Here's another look. He does the double. LaRocco, I mean, of course he's going to pass him by doing the triple. I have to think what you just said about Lusk's ankle. That's got to be giving him problems.
Here's the battle for 5th. Jeff Emig being hounded by Doug Henry.
I got to think right now, Henry looks a little bit faster. He's caught Emig, and Emig's just basically riding defensive. And they're going to come into that section where they can take different lines and look at Henry. Jumps all the way through there, then into the corner. You know, it just looks like a faster line. Henry looks like he's got something up his sleeve, and he'll probably make a pass.
Henry goes to the outside. He's got the momentum. Makes the double before the finish line jump. Look out. Lusk is down there, and Henry picks up 2 spots.
Good luck for Henry right there. More problems continue for Lusk.
McGrath extending his lead from 2 to 7 seconds in 5 laps. Jeremy McGrath is out in front in Seattle. Bailey and Jan Beekes as we take a look at Jeremy McGrath. He is out in front of this race and looking brilliant. Let's take a look now at the Suzuki stopwatch and see what the interval really is. As Larry Ward in second place, 5 seconds, about a 6-second lead. The real battle for second place.
That battle for second place could heat up, and they could start to close on Jeremy. Remember, Jeremy has a cold. You see how far it is now back to Doug Henry and Emig and Kudrowski. They're not even in the same race. But I think that the key thing is here is that the pace that Jeremy can run lap after lap, there's other guys that can run that pace, but they can't run it for 20 laps.
Taking a look at the back of the field now, number 42, Phil Lawrence. Factory Phil no longer with the factory. Albertine, DeHoop, and Mike Brown of Honda of Troy.
And you can see that one-line situation shaping up through the whoops there. You know, in the lead pack, you see McGrath and the other guys taking different lines. They're able to go in other places where the bumps are still big and have that confidence. I think their factory bikes have a little something to do with that.
McGrath with a terrific lap time here for this track. 55.1, David.
Right, that's pretty fast. You know what's amazing is that all these tracks range from about 55 to 58, 59 seconds. It's amazing. The track designs are totally different, but the times always end up about the same.
McGrath and his mechanic Skip Norfolk turning the 1995 Supercross season into a battle for second place. And that's just what we see right here with Mike LaRocco and Larry Ward. Ward, little stumble there. LaRocco right on his rear tire.
You know, LaRocco's definitely putting pressure on Larry Ward, and I think this is really critical for Larry Ward right now. He's got second place in the points, and I think it would be a big blow to LaRocco if Larry Ward could hold him off right here. And Larry could prove to himself, hey, I'm a player, I can win these things, and I can beat you, and I belong in second place in the series.
I think Larry's always thought he was the third fastest rider out there.
Right, and you know, when you think that way, those guys just kind of ride right by you, and then you feel like, well, here I am where I belong.
But if he can hold LaRocco off, what a boost of confidence right now for Larry Ward in a battle with Mike LaRocco, bar to bar. LaRocco catching up with Ward and passing him with 11 laps to go in the race. Let's go to Jan.
Mike, we just got to see your son move up into second place. You think he has the kind of speed to close down that gap on Jeremy?
I think he does. We'll see. He's 9 seconds back. It's hard to make up, but he's a tough fighter, so I think he'll get it.
What section of the track does it look like he's making up on the other riders?
Right over here in the whoop.
Okay, he's a whoop man, huh?
Yeah.
Thanks.
A whoop man, I don't know, Art. That's a new one. Well, I'll tell you what, you know, I think he is a whoop man because he's stronger. He doesn't really rely on timing in those whoops. He just got to muscle it through there, and that's where he's making up his time.
Swink and Lamson. Lamson going down. Swink gives him a little shove in the corner there. He goes down where Ezra Lusk also fell earlier in the race. Steve Lamson's a tough break for him. He was trying to come back after the injury.
Right, there's only room for one bike in that ride. Swink's pretty aggressive. You don't want to mess with him. He had the inside, just pushed him out there. He's riding pretty good tonight.
Besides Jeremy McGrath's brilliance this year, Larry Ward's been the most interesting success story. Last year's top points leader as far as non-factory riders are concerned. And he's taken this year's ride, I think, to a higher level as we look back in the pack. Kudrowski now making a move on Henry. Kudrowski looking to move into 4th place.
Look at this. He jumps this double into the corner, almost hits that lap rider. You know, Kudrowski, he's got to get back up in there. He started off the season quite a bit better than he did last year, but he had a horrible race at Anaheim, and right here is his chance to put some confidence back in there before it starts to fade.
MK won this race last year. Cuts to the inside and gets by Henry for 4th. He's come all the way back from 11th place. Mike Kudrowski in 4th. We'll be back with more 250 action in a moment. Seattle for the 250 main. Brian Swink, number 10, one of his best races of the year, coming all the way back from 15. Jan Beekes is with his mechanic down in the pit area now.
Marshall, Brian is moving through the field at incredible speed. He didn't get a good start, but man, he's on the gas now.
Yeah, we got a bad start, but he's working his way up. Hopefully we can get into 4th by the finish, maybe 3rd.
You think it's high? You think you get to the podium even with that bad of a start? He's that quick, huh?
We might be able to get up there. We still got 5 or 6 laps left, so we'll have to wait and see.
Well, it's great to watch.
Okay, thanks.
Brian Swink currently in 6th spot as we go to the leader, Jeremy McGrath, and take a look at the Suzuki stopwatch to check the intervals now, as a lot of lappers have come between 1st and 2nd place. Flats to contenders last year had the teams concerned about the rocky conditions, and Jan inspected the bikes earlier in the day.
With the rocky soil here in Seattle, these mechanics have their work cut out for them protecting these machines. One of the areas where they concentrate is below the fuel tank. You can see the fuel line is covered with a plastic piece to protect it from flying rocks. Another place would be the brake levers. You can see there's actually a piece of foam inserted between the brake lever and the case to make sure a rock doesn't jam up those rear brakes. Tires are also where mechanics spend a lot of time and attention. They're choosing for here larger knobs, closer together. It leaves less of a carcass exposed. Some mechanics are using 2 tubes, but there's also a development tube that Dunlop has come up with that is a foam-covered inner tube. It gives you the advantage of foam, but yet it still has air in the inner tube to allow for different settings and different pressures. Right now, because
Thanks, Jan. As we look at number 7, Mike Kudrowski, he's currently in 4th. He's come a long way, though. He started after the first lap in 11th position, and has worked his way up through the field.
Well, he's definitely riding good to work his way all the way up through there, but it's the same old story for both the Kawasaki guys. They've got the speed, but they're always coming from behind, and that speed doesn't come until it's too late.
Mike Kudrowski hoping his new mechanic Brian Lennis with different training regiments would improve that quickness for the Supercross season. But you see Henry right behind Mike Kudrowski. Now Henry in 5th spot. Henry might have been in line for a podium performance had he not gone down on lap 8. But right now trying to give some pressure to Mike Kudrowski.
Well, Kudrowski had a horrible race, as we mentioned earlier, in Anaheim. I'm glad to see him back up front. You know, he did start out the season much better than last year. But right now, Henry is regrouped, and he's on the charge.
Let's go to the Honda pits and Jan Beekes.
He's not got a horrible start, but he's really working his way through. It looks like he may be one of the quickest bikes on the track.
Yeah, he's riding very well tonight. He had some problems in the heat race, but you know, that's one of the problems Doug's working on his starts. And the guys in front of him, he's going to have a hard time catching, but he just has to ride consistent.
Doug Henry on the move. Thanks.
Henry got off to a good start in the opener with a 5th place finish, but on Minnesota, he cracked the handlebars jumping off the track and really put him out of the points race. Here he is, number 1, Jeremy McGrath. He just cruising right now, way out in front, looking forward to his 4th consecutive victory to start the season. There's his dad, Skip Norfolk, the mechanic on the left. They look relieved. McGrath way out in front, looking for his 23rd win. Rick Johnson heads the list. Bob Hanna with a great 27-win performance. But look out for McGrath. Here's the rocket. And as we take a look at the Suzuki stopwatch to check the interval between Jeremy McGrath and the number 2 position, Mike LaRocco. Looks like a 6.6, which, well, you've said it before.
It's a week.
That's weeks for Jeremy McGrath.
That's a long time, especially with only the few laps that are remaining. And you can see he's lapping Michael Pichon. Pichon is very fast, and I can tell you, he's not having problems. They're just lapping way up through the field now.
LaRocco was able to pick up a 2nd a lap for several laps, but as you see there, the little bobbles riding on the edge as we take another look.
Okay, he comes in here. Front end just gets away. Watch it. Gets into that slick stuff. He does a nice job to save it. Sometimes you put your foot down like that. I've done it before. I've broken my foot that way. Boy, those kind of mistakes can cost you. You just lose more time on the leader. This guy, McGrath.
Jeremy McGrath with a nice, easy pace. One thing for sure is he is acknowledging the fans. He knows exactly where his competition is, David.
He sure does. He knows there's only a few laps to go, and he can go out there. And even when he's riding an easy pace, he's still going faster than most everyone out there.
He is only seconds away from his 4th consecutive win this year. We'll be back.
Jumpin', jammin', smashin', crashin', floorin', soarin'. Experience the high-flying world of Supercross like never before. Call now to order Supercross Thrills and Spills, the video that captures the highs and the lows of the world's top riders. Endless Endo's roughest rivalries, biggest bloopers, and fantastic finishes. Can't miss action for the can't miss price of $19.95 plus shipping and handling.
Wheels on ESPN2 has been brought to you by
Honda, defending champions and holders of the past 7 consecutive Supercross titles. Honda, come ride with us. And by Suzuki. Right now, your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it. We are in the last lap from the Kingdome in Seattle, and what a monster effort by this young man, Jeremy McGrath, as he does the knack-knack off the triple, entertaining the fans, knowing he's got this all but wrapped up.
As I watch him go through this last lap, I said it in Minneapolis, the guy is riding flawless, and he's just kind of goofing off out there. It's amazing how relaxed he can ride.
The final turn, the finish line jump, the checkers for Jeremy McGrath. His 4th consecutive victory to start the season, only one shy of Rick Johnson's great record of 5 straight.
Well, there's Jeremy's dad and his mechanic, Skip Norfolk. They're happy about things. You know, Jeremy came into this thing sick. This is also Larry Ward's hometown. He's been building up a little speed there. You see him coming closer to the finish line for this race in Seattle, and he's probably going to be a little disappointed having dropped back to 3rd. I think he would have liked to have held off LaRocco.
It's his third of the season to go along with his 2nd place, entrenching this non-factory rider in 2nd place in the points standings. 4 podiums in 4 races for both Larry Ward and this young man, Jeremy McGrath. who has swept them all. McGrath, number 1. LaRocco, Ward, Kudrowski, and Henry are top 5 here in Seattle. Swink, an admirable ride from where he came from. Emig holding on to 7th. Let's go to Jan Pekus.
Mike, I know you're never happy with second, but you got to be happy that after a not such a great start, you really worked through it. It looked like you were one of the fastest bikes on the track.
Yeah, I mean, I felt kind of like myself. You know, I rode a pace that I made up some time on Jeremy, but, you know, he does what he does. He gets out front and gets the leading knees and makes it tough for everybody else.
Now, did you have the speed tonight? If you could have had the whole shot, do you think you can outpace him if you can get out in front in a good start?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was kind of it was a good track, and it was a little difficult. And, you know, it was a track where you can make up time on. And I felt that I had it in me. I just, you know, I didn't use it. I was too far back.
Well, it sure looked like the crowd was pulling for you. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
The points list starting to reflect the dominance. Jeremy by 18 points. Ward continues to show up the other factory riders in second, and Jan is with Larry right now.
Larry, you got a good start. The crowd was behind you, but then what happened? Did the rhythm go away a little bit?
A little bit. You know, Jeremy and Mike LaRocco are really fast. That's why they have number 1 and number 2 on the bikes. I rode that consistent. You know, I knew I had third. Lap riders goofed me up a little bit. You know, they weren't getting out of the way out there, but that's part of racing. And I just hung on and got my 4th straight podium finish, so I'm happy with that.
Now, what can you do to get to the next level? Obviously, for a privateer, you're absolutely eclipsing everybody, almost like Jeremy's doing with the factory machines. What can you do to get just into that next league?
Well, you know, hopefully next year I'll be riding the factory bike, so I have the same equipment. You know, I'm only human. I can only do so much. I got to rely on that motorcycle a little bit, and it's good. But you know, Jeremy's got the best bike out there, so I'll just train a little harder, and hopefully one of these times he's going to have a problem, and maybe he'll get a bad start, and hopefully I can win.
Well, you put a great show on for the fans. Thanks.
But the star of the show was number 1, Jeremy McGrath. He is now 4 for 4, 1 win away from the 1988 Rick Johnson record.
Jeremy, one of the toughest jobs as an announcer is knowing what to ask Jeremy McGrath. You're making this, we're seeing you every single race. One thing is, though, you broke a record. You had 4 races you won in a streak before. If you count Las Vegas from last year, that makes 5. So already you're at a personal best.
Well, 5 in a row is great for me. I mean, you know, being sick this week and having the victory this week makes it all that much more better. I mean, you know, I was a little bit worried about my fitness this week because I had a cold and didn't train that much this week, but next week I'll be back on it and as ready as ever.
Now, were you holding back a little bit in the beginning? It didn't seem like you streaked away like we've seen you in the past, and then about mid-race it seemed like you really cranked it on.
Well, I started getting away. I'm okay, I have a good pace, started pulling away, and Larry Waters, you know, he was dropping back, and then LaRocco started pushing him. So then I had to gas it up because they were both catching me a little bit. So after that, I just turned it up a little bit and made my pace a little bit faster, and that's when I started pulling the distance back out.
Well, Jeremy, if this is how you do with a cold, we hate to see you when you're healthy. Nice job.
All right, thanks.
Jeremy McGrath with a brilliant new riding style, smarts, conditioning, and a sense of humor that has kept him focused and on top.
Well, it's kept him on top in the indoors, Art, but the outdoors are approaching, and it'll be interesting to see if he can take this dominance and all this confidence and the better conditioning now to the outdoor season.
Jeremy McGrath.